Okay, hey guys, it's been a while since I meant to do this like a long time ago, but I didn't because I started thinking like what effects am I gonna do, right? All this blah blah blah. Anyways, we're here to finish this finally, and this is gonna be Brawlhalla specific effects. So like I'm not gonna cover every effect imaginable because there's a lot of effects you can apply to the game that come from outside sources. So I'm gonna link a playlist for a bunch of different effects you can learn. But for Brawlhalla specifically, I think one of the biggest things people try to do or just like to ask me about personally is green screens and stuff like that, like the black and white effect or the transition where the platforms are moving either outward or forward. And that's what I'm going to be demonstrating today. So the main thing, obviously, first is getting a green screen clip. So I'll show you guys how to do that first. Alright, so as far as reaching the folder you need to get to for the map art goes, so you can change it for green screens and stuff, I already have it pinned right here, so I can just click right here to do it. I recommend, if you do this frequently, just pin this folder. If you have it all right here, just pin it. It'll be better that way, okay? But if you don't have it yet, then you just go to this PC, Windows, Program Files times 86, Steam Apps, Common, which is at the bottom for me, probably not for you though, you'll see Common somewhere else, then Brawlhalla, then Map Art, then Backgrounds, and you'll be here. You're not going to have these two folders and you're not going to have two stadiums. These are two things that I have because I don't clean up very frequently. But this OG map art, I put all of the map art that I have here, I put all of the map art that I have here in this folder, so when I'm done editing one of these, I can just replace it with one of these easily, except for this one I need to update that still. So this is still the old Brawlhaven. Anyways, so what you want to do, if you want to, you just find whichever one is the background for the map that you just did whatever clip on, right? So like, let's say for example, if I were to use a cathedral, I would just open it with paint.net. That's what I usually use. I use paint.net. You guys could use just about any editing program. It doesn't really matter. So I'll open paint.net, right? So it'll open the picture, and I'm here in paint.net with it. So what I usually do from here is I would just go with shapes, change the color to green, and I would make this. I would click on this once to make it fill, and then I would just drag it over. Or you can just go with the fill tolerance 100, just complete. This is fill. The fill tool is a lot easier. I just don't use it because I'm used to using the rectangle one. Back in my day, there wasn't this tolerance for paint buckets. But anyways, once you save that, you just go back in your game and basically, yeah, the green screen. You can paint bucket it or you can rectangle tool it. Both work very well. As long as you cover this and you can save it, you'll be fine. Now you can I'm just going to demonstrate. You can go into Brawlhalla once you save this. You can actually change the backgrounds while you're in the game, and it won't affect anything as long as like you're not mid-game. And even if you're mid-game, it won't like unload it. So you can change this while you're in game, so it'll be fine. Anyways, so just some random kickdown. So we changed the blackguard background. So we're gonna go here to showcase that it did in fact work. So here we are. It's kind of an eyesore, and I will definitely say you have to be careful. I mean, just watch your eyes. Especially with red screens, because red screens they are very straining for your eyes. At least they were straining for my eyes. Not as straining as blue or green. But the reds were definitely extremely straining. And I'll show you why you need to have both green, red, and blue different backgrounds right now. So here real fast, I got a quick Fangwild clip with a red background, obviously the one that would work the best on this map because it is in contrast to the blue. So what happens when we get rid of the background? Boom, just like that. This is what it looks like. The most important aspect, at least for me, is that the characters and the stage have maintained their shade, even if it's at the cost of a little extra red, which kinda sucks, not gonna lie. Now what happens if I use something like green? Boom, there it is, right there, just like that. I see people do this all the time, and honestly, I fucking despise it. The stage is now a deep blue with no other lighter variation. Unlike the background, it contrasts very poorly, and I don't like how it looks at all. I'm not even gonna bother testing blue. You guys probably have a general idea of how it's gonna look. It's probably gonna tear through half the stage. But yeah, general rule, don't use the same background color that is already in the map, or you're gonna tear through half the map accidentally, and it won't look very good. Anyways, over here real fast, I'm gonna give a quick rundown of what everything does, right? So if we go ahead and go to our video FX, Chroma here is the one you're looking for. This is the one that gets rid of the background, so we'll just apply a normal one. And then, once you apply a normal one, go to color and then select the one that's in the track, and it should get rid of it. I don't know why I used the green one for the example here, but I did, so bear with me. Anyways, we have this green one. So what does everything do? Well, right off the bat, we already have the black and white effect. How? Show mask only. And Chroma here will make this black and white, just like that. It shows only the mask, so now we already have a black and white effect. So, we don't have any noises. I don't think we do. If we do, it's just keyboard noises, but I don't want to distract it too much. But yeah, this is basically how you do the background. And if you want to make this white and black, or just, I guess, the opposite of this, the inverse of this, you can just go ahead. I'll pause it real fast. You can go to brightness and contrast. And we just have to make this brightness 0. Or what if you don't have that setting, so obviously just make this 0. Change the brightness thing to 0. We have to make a new video track. Put this one on the top track. It has to be on top, okay? So once we have our new video track, we'll go over the media generators, right? And we will go to solid color, and then we will have white. And just like that, we should have a solid white and a black screen, I guess. I mean, black and white, white and black. It's interchangeable. But if it doesn't, sometimes the green screen will shade over this, like this, so the white will be a bit darker, or just the general background you want to use will be darker. So you're going to have to adjust the settings a little bit accordingly to make sure that it doesn't destroy everything. So just like that. Now we have a good, smoother looking black and white effect. This time it is the inverse of last time. One last note before I go ahead and move away from this is it doesn't have to be exclusively black and white or anything like that. You can go with blue. You can kind of have it be poppy, you know, like a poppin' background. Not red, not red. Red is not a poppin' color. But like just for the most part, yeah, you can do this, or you can do it in the black and white way, which I already have a. Because I am awesome, I already have a brightness 0 thing for this. So you can do this both ways. And you can use different colors too, if you want to make something like that. I've never actually thought about this until now, but like I still think this would be interesting to see in a future video from somebody. If you guys want to do that, that's just an idea to throw out there, because I've never bothered trying to do something like that. Anyways, now we're moving on. So right off the bat, I have two pretty much just filler clips, and I've gone and put a little bit of, I moved them a little bit just so they can, you know, fit with the music and all that first, just so I can like kind of have a general idea of what I'm going for. So we have the clips right here, and this is what the two clips I'm gonna use for this. Stop recording there. Anyways, so first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna change the background to make it red. So upon recording this in game, you're gonna want to make sure you're very careful. Firstly, I'm probably gonna make this like a little bit dimmer because I know the red is very strong. I know it is for me. I don't know if it is for everyone else, but like I don't want to like destroy everyone's eyes with this, so it should be a little bit dimmer for you guys. Anyways, when you're in here and you're doing this pan crop kind of transition type thing, the panning and cropping is only going to be done in Vegas Pro. So you don't want the Brawlhalla camera to be running, or it'll look really wild. And I'll put an example up right about now so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Anyways, you don't want it to be moving. You got to make sure the camera isn't moving like this, or it'll make the recording really wonky for the actual effect. So you right click, camera becomes still, okay? Go to where you want it to be, and since this is going to be for the right part, I already know it's going to be for the right part. As long as you know what side you're coming from, you should be able to zoom in on yours too. But like for me, I think this should be fine. So we'll see how this goes. This is just a test recording firstly, and yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and let this play out. For the next one, I'm gonna go ahead and move over here to around this part-ish. And I'm gonna want to show a little bit more, just because this one's gonna be the one that it zooms into next. And I kind of want to make sure the full tree shows too, just to be sure, you know. Okay, so what we're gonna do now, I'm gonna go ahead and yeah, we're gonna go ahead and play this out. So yeah, that's it for the recording. We're gonna go back to Vegas Pro, and I will go ahead and give examples of how I'm gonna do this. So now back over here, we have basically the same thing we had before, except this time it's a red screen. The red screen we recorded earlier, that I just showed you guys without the process of recording. So don't forget, these have to be still like this. If they're not still, it'll look really weird. Anyways, back to actually making it. We actually need 3 layers for this. I don't know why I didn't make a third. So we actually need 3 layers for this, and one of the more important layers for this is gonna be the background of this map. Why? So it's not red. That's pretty much it. So grab the map art from the backgrounds, blah blah blah. I actually usually grab these from my OG map art just in case, because sometimes Vegas likes to make an extra. That's whatever. That doesn't really matter though. So what matters right now, we have the background, we drag it in and we drop it right here. That'll be important later. So for now, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead to Chroma here, and we are gonna make this a gonna select, and then we're gonna select the background like we did last time, and it's gonna come off really weird at first, and I don't know why it does that, but when I do that, but it's fine, whatever. So we're going to just want to make sure that we don't overdo any of the effects. And yeah, there is going to be a little bit of red for this, because this map you can only really use red, and even then, look at the platform, sometimes it catches some of the brown. And yes, it does catch brown, so legends like Cassidy or just using brown on a character might throw it off a little bit, so you have to be careful about that too. Anyway, back to the gist of making this. You have to go ahead and adjust these settings the way you want to. There's no specific way to do it that I was like, yeah, this is the best way to do it right off the bat. Every single time I've done this, I've had to experiment with it and mess around with it to make it just a little bit better each time. So there's no surefire way for me to tell you how to do this one. That's just on you, okay? And we do it for this one too. So this one's also going to be red. You can already see it's in the background there, because we put this on the second layer. We have to make sure this front layer is going to be on top and this one is under it, just like this. So now we have this, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to grab this, I'm going to select it, select the red on the track, and we should be fine now. And go ahead, fix it up a little bit, and we should be good to go for the most part. So obviously these are 2 clips that were, what does that say? Fluff. Okay, so obviously we just kind of have this now. If we were to drag this one down, we need this one to be dragged down, by the way. That's important too. And if you want to, you can also have the audio on different layers. You don't have to, but it would probably be nice if you want to keep your audio more organized. So just for the sake of the video, I'm going to do that. Inside to the longer one, outside to the shorter one. So for the sake of the video, I'm going to do that. So now, what are we going to do? Well, first of all, Gaussian blur. You can do defocus or just any kind of tool that blurs here. The background, I'm going to blur it, and I'll tell you guys why. Boom, just like that, the background is blurred. It's a medium blur, so I can give this one right here a lighter blur. This one in the back, we have to let you know that it's going to be in the background, right? To further assert that it's in the background, we're blurring it out and make it a little bit blurrier. So now that we have this one blurred out, we can clearly see which one is in the very front, the forefront clip. This is the one that we're going to crop right about now. Going to go ahead and crop it. So what do we do here? We pretty much just have to do this. Just gotta make sure it's just gotta see how this looks so far. We have the most important part for this is making sure that the zoom looks fine too. So, well, I mean, that's not at all. The most important part is finding the ending for this clip, because that's going to be when the transition initially starts. And it's right at the end of the side stick, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and turn down the music a little bit more so it's not too loud while I go through this and verify that. So yeah, the side stick is where that part of the guitar ends. This is a very carefree song from Noiseless World. If you guys don't know who that is, they make a lot of nice music. I really do like the music they make. It sounds pretty royalty free, and it is to some extent, I guess you could call it that, because it is copyright free, but that is a story for another time. So we're going to be zooming in, right? Because that is the point of this clip, is that it's constantly zooming in, but we want it to be zooming in this way. That way it's zooming into an empty space, because it is supposed to zoom in kind of off center, so the next clip can be zoomed in on too. Because it's going to catch the edge of both platforms, right? So we're going to see how this looks now. So that's too much horizontal movement. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead, move this over a little bit. Wait, did I move this the wrong way? Should I have done it like that, maybe? Okay, no, so we want this one to be kind of like this. Ish. You can still kind of have it like that, maybe. Okay, so this is good. But now that we have this, what we gotta do here, we're gonna pull back up the crop, and we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go with slow for this, because I want it to ease into the next track, right? But it still wants to be somewhat faster than the initial zoom has been, because it's a very slow zoom so far. So for the transition part, we want it to be a little bit faster. Now, you don't really have to worry too much about, like, oh, it's gonna be pixelated when you zoom in. You can see all the pixels. It's not good, because, like, it doesn't really matter. It's not something that, like, makes too big of a difference, in my opinion. Like, it might make some amount of a difference to you, and if it does affect you, then you can wait for an opening for there to not be anything showing, and when there's nothing showing, then you can just kind of like offset it, right? So if there's nothing showing, like right here-ish, just a little past this is a part where there's nothing showing, so you just do that, and then you move it away, and then you make sure there's nothing showing. But you are going to have to zoom in regardless, so it doesn't really matter, so I'm not going to do that. But, like, you can take a lot of advantage of empty space, so don't forget that you can do that. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom around here-ish, just going to go ahead right into his little guitar, but not really. I don't want it to show anything, so... And then right after this, like maybe a frame after, I'll make this disappear. So, one frame, I make disappear. This saves me a lot of time, okay? I'm actually also gonna get rid of this first half of the sound for this clip, because it's gonna overlap and it'll sound weird otherwise if I don't. Okay, so that's pretty good actually for what it is. So now we just have to make this clip slowly creep up behind it. So around the same pace. So I'm going to click on this keyframe just so I can get the time a lot easier. Before the transition starts, of course. And we're going to zoom in a little bit. I'm actually going to copy and paste what I zoomed in here put it here, and I'm gonna zoom out a little bit, because I'm just gonna kind of do like reverse, right? So we kind of have this now. Yeah, okay, so I want this to be more off to the side actually. It's not to this, it's not very off to the side, so I'm gonna put it like right around there. Should be fine. It's gonna be slowly creeping up, right? One thing to keep in mind is how horizontally the platforms move, because this is supposed to be more on the z-axis, moving forward and backward. So you don't want it to move too much horizontally, or it might kind of make it look really weird. So keep in mind that you're kind of just trying to make it do this before it does anything else. So that is very important, in my opinion, to remember. Alright. That's too much. So what I'm seeing, this is too far up. So we're gonna kind of move it right there. That's too far down, so we gotta move it back to the middle now. I'm actually gonna change where this zooms into. Kind of right under his jump. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so now that we have this, go back to where the transition starts. And to do this, by the way, if you haven't, if you're just kind of watching this for the first time, I have the sync cursor setting on, so as long as I click on this keyframe, it'll sync the cursor automatically. That's how I do that. Anyways, back to this one. We can make a keyframe here now. Oh, we already did. So slow. Actually, we can make this one go faster, but we won't. We just want it to have the same kind of transition time. Alright, let's make sure this looks alright. Okay, so now there's two things wrong with this, and that is that it's still blurred and that it is very stiff. Don't forget that we still want this to have the illusion that, well, I mean, as far as I want to, you can stop it right here if you want to, if this is just what you're going for, because you can kind of get away with this, I feel like. But for what I'm doing, you want to make sure it's still zooming in slowly over time, right? Because that is the way this transition is supposed to work. It's just always on the z-axis moving forward slowly. So, kind of like that, probably. Oh wait, I have to get rid of the transition. There we go. No. Too horizontal. Too much horizontal movement there. There we go. Let's see if that works. Oh, that didn't work either. Damn. Okay. Wait, why did it reset? Question mark? Ah, okay. It's kind of an inconsistent angle, but I'll roll with it for now. So anyways, once we get to this part-ish, this transitioning part, right? You just want to get to where it ends. And so right here is about where it ends. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna open up with the FX for this one because it's still blurred out. We're gonna press these clocks because that enables an animation for it. Press the plus down here for add keyframe. That way this I'm gonna move this one over actually because this is gonna be for part of the transition, right? This is the part, this should be the part where it's still like in the background but beginning to move forward, and the part where it's out now is where this blur should have just completely turned off, right? So I forgot to turn it off. I'm dumb. I thought I did, but I didn't. So like right around here is where you want that part to start. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of how you do this transition. So it'll look like this. And if you have anything that like bothers you about this, then like obviously what you're gonna want to do, right? Oh wait, oh, this is the one I reset. So if you have things that bother you, like, oh my goodness, you can still see so much, then like go ahead, just make this blurrier. It doesn't always have to be as blurry as I make it out. Like this way, this was pretty blurry, and you can just keep adding blurriness depending on how many you have too. So like if you have like 4 or 5 in the background, you're gonna want it to be really blurry or almost unnoticeable, or just not even there, at least until the time comes for it to be there. But like if there's 3 or more, you can probably hide it behind this front platform, so don't worry about that too much. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of how you do this transition. So it should look something like this once you finish rendering it.